I had never imagined that at 70, a stranger's touch could unravel the quiet fortress I'd built around my heart, awakening desires I thought were long buried with my husband. It was a simple therapy session, but it stirred something profound. A mix of grief and unexpected longing that made me question if I was ready to feel alive again. In Willow Creek, Nebraska, life moved like a slow river, predictable, unremarkable. People attended church, shared stories about the harvest, and marked time by the changing seasons. I believed I was part of that rhythm, a widow content with memories, until Nathan Cole arrived at my door with his therapy bag and a massage table. 7 years had passed since Thomas's heart failed in the grocery store parking lot, leaving me to navigate empty rooms and silent evenings. The ache in my shoulder had become a constant companion, mirroring the deeper voids I couldn't name. A visit to the local clinic led to a diagnosis of arthritis and tendinitis. Nothing alarming for someone my age, the doctor said with a sympathetic nod. He handed me a brochure featuring Nathan, a licensed physical therapist with steady eyes and capable hands. He seemed too young, perhaps 43, to grasp the kind of pain that lingered beyond the physical, the empty side of the bed, the untouched clothes in the closet. But home visits appealed to me. Driving after dark had lost its appeal since that fateful night, that Tuesday afternoon, under the warm glow of a clearance lamp from the discount store. The wind whispered through the trees outside as I fussed over the living room. I straightened cushions, dusted surfaces, and paused at the wedding photo on the mantel. Thomas in his sharp suit, me beaming in my lace dress, convinced our love was invincible. "I'm not betraying you," I murmured to his image, feeling foolish yet compelled. "This is just for my shoulder." When the doorbell chimed, my pulse quickened unexpectedly. Nathan stood tall, his brown hair tousled by the breeze, eyes like rich earth. He greeted me with a professional warmth, his Midwestern accent steady and reassuring. As he unfolded the table, we discussed my symptoms, the nagging pull when lifting pots, the stiffness from reaching high shelves. I omitted the nights I avoided my right side, where every twinge echoed unspoken sorrows. He explained the process clearly, gentle mobilizations and soft tissue work. "You're in control, Evelyn," he said, his voice calm. "Tell me if anything feels off." No one had empowered me like that in years. Since Thomas's passing, life had dictated terms without consultation. I lay on the table, gazing at the ancient ceiling fan as the scent of eucalyptus cream filled the air. He draped a towel modestly, exposing only my shoulder and arm. His hands, one supporting my elbow, the other near my collarbone, were warm and purposeful. It wasn't romantic, yet the contact jolted me. Human touch, absent for so long, carried an electric undercurrent. As he moved my arm in a careful arc, the joint protested mildly, but a deeper emotion surged, a blend of relief and buried grief tightening my chest. Tears pricked my eyes, unbidden. "It's okay if it's uncomfortable," Nathan murmured, misinterpreting. "We're just easing the guard your body's been holding." Guarding, that word resonated beyond muscles, hinting at how I'd shielded my heart from the world. A knot beneath my neck yielded to his thumb, sending a shiver cascading down my spine. My breath hitched, heat flushing my cheeks. It wasn't pain. It felt like he'd awakened a dormant spark, one I'd forgotten existed. Instinct urged me to retreat, to rebuild the walls of numbness that had protected me for 7 years. Yet a quieter voice whispered to linger, to savor this fleeting vitality. "Too much?" he asked softly, lightening his pressure. "No," I replied, my voice barely mine. "I just haven't felt that in a long time." He nodded respectfully, his kindness not probing. We proceeded slowly, but lying there, I sensed a shift a part of me, entered with Thomas, stirring awake with a mix of fear and wonder. 2 days later, Nathan returned. My shoulder had improved, but practicality masked my anticipation. I tidied unnecessarily, checked my reflection more than usual. Chiding myself for such silliness at 70, he arrived punctually, sharing anecdotes about his mother and Lincoln the Sunday drives, her famous stew, the pesky neighborhood dog. His stories softened the house's edges, filling spaces long silent. We repeated the exercises, but I was acutely aware now. The table's creak, his steady breath, the warmth of his grip. Midway, he demonstrated a self-stretch, his hands on my shoulders guiding a rotation. "Good," he whispered near my ear. "You're doing great." The praise landed deeply. Affirmation had been scarce since Thomas. "I'm trying," I breathed. "I know," he replied, and it felt like he saw beyond the physical dot as he departed. He gifted a small fern for the windowsill. "Plants heal too," he said lightly. Flustered, I laughed. "You're spoiling your patience?" "Only the kind ones," he countered simply, listening something within me. That night, the wind howled, and every sound evoked his presence. Grief, I realized, morphed into longing, a shape I hadn't dared acknowledge. Weeks unfolded with bi-weekly visits. We delved into shared losses, his father gone a decade, my Thomas after 42 years of marriage. Brushes of contact, his hand grazing mine, fingertips along my jaw ignited sparks I both craved and feared. One afternoon, humming while washing dishes, I paused, startled by my own joy. The maple tree outside gleamed, sunlight dancing through leaves I'd overlooked before. Nathan arrived subdued, shadows under his eyes from worries about his mother. We shared tea at the kitchen table, fingers brushing as he accepted the mug. "Grief doesn't disappear, Evelyn," he said. "It just changes what kind of person you are. Sometimes you meet someone who understands it so well that it doesn't feel as heavy when you stand next to them." His gaze held mine, the air charged. I rose abruptly, feigning refill, but his apology followed. "I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable." "You didn't," I whispered, wishing it were untrue tenderness was harder to flee than discomfort. Yet as the session resumed, a new distance emerged, leaving me torn between relief and ache at our next appointment. The atmosphere had shifted subtly, like a cloud passing over the sun. Nathan set up the table with deliberate care, his instructions precise, his touch maintaining a professional veil that hadn't been there before. It was as if he erected an invisible barrier, one we both sensed, but neither acknowledged outright. I lay there, feeling the familiar eucalyptus scent wrap around us, his hands guiding my arm through stretches that eased the physical tension but amplified the emotional one. Every contact careful, measured sent quiet ripples through me, a reminder of what had almost been said, almost felt. I wanted to bridge the gap, to voice the confusion swirling inside, but fear held me back. The same fear that had kept me isolated for 7 years. When the session ended, I remained on the table, eyes closed, letting the silence stretch. He didn't pack up immediately. The room hummed with unspoken words. Opening my eyes, I found him watching me thoughtfully. "You're progressing well, Evelyn," he said softly. "Soon you might not need these visits." The implication stung, losing this fragile connection we'd built. Impulsively, I asked, "How are your boundaries holding up?" He paused, setting his notes aside. "I've been reflecting," he admitted. "Maybe a break would be wise. You've come far, and I don't want to complicate things we can't undo." My chest tightened, a twist of regret and understanding. "Is this about me? Your mother? Or everything?" He glanced at his hands. "It's about honesty with myself, with you. There are feelings here, and that's risky." I exhaled slowly, the truth bubbling up. "I feel them too," I confessed quietly. "I haven't felt anything real in so long, and now I'm lost on how to handle it." Our eyes met, and there was That profound, unsettling recognition, like being truly seen after years in the shadows. Maybe that's why we need caution, he murmured. Maybe, I echoed, though it didn't diminish the reality humming between us. He packed efficiently, movement sharp, as if order could contain the chaos. At the door, he hesitated. Take care of yourself, Evelyn. And you, Nathan, I replied. Take care of your heart. The click of the latch echoed, leaving the house vast and hollow, amplifying my solitude. Days blurred into a haze. I prepared meals without appetite, tended plants excessively, gazed at the road from my window, half hoping, half dreading his car. On the 5th morning, I called him. His voice answered steadily, laced with caution. Evelyn. I know I shouldn't, I said, but thank you for making me feel human again. A pause, then a sigh. You always were. You just lost touch with your own rhythm. I smiled through stinging eyes. I'll be nearby tomorrow, he added. If you want to wrap up the therapy plan, I can stop by. Professional only. Yes, I agreed eagerly. Please. The following day dawned in golden autumn hues, everything bathed in a weary glow. He arrived without the table, just his bag and a tentative expression. No setup today? I asked lightly. Just to check in, he replied. To see how you're truly faring. We settled at the kitchen table with tea, the hum of the fridge underscoring our words. You seem tired, I observed. You seem lonely, he countered gently. The raw honesty cracked my composure. I don't know who I am anymore, I whispered. After Thomas, I felt diminished. Now, I'm afraid I'm overwhelming. Feeling after loss doesn't make you too much, he said. It just means you're alive. His hand extended across the table, hovering before settling over mine, a simple grounding weight. My fingers instinctively curled around his, my heart racing like in my youth. I withdrew abruptly, hand to my chest. I can't, I murmured. I know, he responded softly. We sat in that charged limbo, truths exposed, hands separate yet connected in spirit. When he left, it was without drama, just a door closing on a tangle of emotions that refused to neatly resolve. Weeks slipped by without in-person visits, but occasional texts arrived. How's the shoulder? Remember the stretches? The maple outside looks stunning today. Small gestures that affirmed I was seen not as a widow or patient, but as a woman with a pulse. I returned to church after months away, the pastor's words on self-forgiveness seeping into the fissures Nathan had gently pried open. Walking home under a crisp sky, colors vivid, sounds sharp. I felt the world reawakening around me dot at my steps. A note under the doormat, checked the boiler, didn't want to intrude, and I clutched it, warmth spreading. That evening I texted, You're never an intrusion. The house feels quieter without you. No immediate reply, but the next week brought steady rain, silver threads pattering softly. Midway through chores, a knock sounded. Opening the door, there he stood, hair damp, jacket soaked. Tried calling, he explained. Thought the power might dip. It did, I said. Come in before you catch cold and switch roles. He chuckled quietly, stepping inside, bringing the scent of rain to mingle with coffee and wood. We talked unhurriedly about his mother, my lingering aches. The conversation drifted, or perhaps we did. If this is pity, I began. It's not, he interrupted. I came because I can't stop thinking of you. You shouldn't say that, I whispered. I know, he admitted, but denying it hasn't helped. In the living room, rain drumming the windows, his hand rose slowly to my cheek, a question in motion. His fingertips brushed tenderly. I didn't pull away, closing my eyes instead, leaning into the contact after years of deprivation. I shouldn't, I murmured, even as the words dissolved in the air between us. But in that suspended moment, with the rain's gentle rhythm against the panes, I leaned further into his touch, allowing the warmth of his palm to anchor me. It was a quiet surrender, not to passion, but to the simple truth that connection could coexist with memory. His thumb traced my cheekbone softly, evoking a tenderness I'd long set aside. Like fragile china gathering dust, I kissed him first tentative, like testing the edge of a forgotten path. It carried the taste of autumn rain, layered with the bittersweet tang of grief and a hint of self-forgiveness. We didn't rush into anything deeper. No fervent embrace or promises whispered in haste. Instead, we parted slowly, breaths mingling, hearts echoing the storm outside. "I'm sorry," he said, voice low, "for not pulling back sooner." "Don't be," I replied quietly. "I've spent too many years holding back. Just this once, I needed to know what it felt like to step forward." Life didn't shatter in the aftermath. No whispers from neighbors. No internal storms of regret that couldn't be weathered. We didn't ignite a sweeping romance that appended our worlds. What emerged was subtler, more grounded, occasional visits where he'd tend the garden or mend a loose hinge, moments shared over lemonade on the porch, his presence a gentle thread woven into my days. Texts continued, reminders for stretches, updates on his mother's health, observations of the changing leaves. We towed the line we'd approached that rainy afternoon, respecting the boundaries while acknowledging the pull that lingered, more than our interactions. It was the shift within me that endured. I visited Thomas's grave after nearly a year, the earth soft underfoot, leaves scattered like forgotten letters. Kneeling, I cleared the stone and spoke aloud. "I met someone. He hasn't replaced you. No one could after 42 years. But he's reminded me that I'm still here, still capable of feeling." The breeze carried scents of soil and renewal, blurring the divide between what was and what could be. For the first time, the past and present felt like allies, both granting permission to embrace the life remaining. Months on. The house remains familiar, same worn furniture, same whirring fan, same step that creaks with the chill. Yet I've transformed my place in it. Music fills the rooms a touch louder. I converse with the characters on screen. I don the elegant sweater for everyday errands rather than reserving it for someday. The fern he gifted thrives under my care, a living emblem of quiet growth. I meet my reflection with softer eyes, seeing not just lines of time, but the vitality etched alongside Dot Nathan visits sporadically, now dropping herbs from his garden. Sharing silences that speak volumes, or simply being present without demand. We're not a tale of grand passion or hidden scandal. We're two souls intersecting at a vulnerable crossroads, where kindness bridged the gaps loss had carved. What we shared wasn't flawless, nor tainted, it was profoundly human. A mosaic of emotions that defies simple labels. If this stirs a quiet echo in you, a flicker of recognition amid your own hidden longings, remember, you're not flawed for seeking warmth after winter's chill. Grief reshapes us, but it doesn't erase our right to connection. Healing means carrying forward, not retreating, if you felt that tentative spark after loss. Share in the comments the moment your heart stirred again, even if it defied logic. And if these whispers of rediscovery resonate, subscribe to journey through more such intimate truths together. In the space between farewell and hello, between silence and the first hesitant beat of desire, we all deserve to affirm we're still here and that enduring pulse still counts.